Hi guys, my name is Nonima Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want to give you a list of the things that make Baloyi to have to claim that he has a case against the 5 accused. So the evidence the prosecution has relied on and argued is sufficient to establish a prima facie case against the accused. Then the state case has broadly rested on the following categories. Let's start. 1. Alleged confessions by accused 1 and 2. The state relies heavily on alleged confession statements attributed to Muzaukulelwa Sibiya, who is accused number 1, and Bongani Sandison Danzi, who is accused number 2. According to the prosecution, these confessions place the accused at the scene and describe the planning and the execution of the murder. The trial within a trial resulted in the court ruling that the confessions were admissible. We are still waiting to hear at the end of the trial if they are fully admissible because they were provisionally admissible. Secondly, the pointing out evidence. The state also relies on a pointing out allegedly conducted by Sibiya, who is accused number 1, where he supposedly identified locations and aspects related to the crime. The prosecution argues this corroborates the confession evidence. But the weird thing about Sibiya's so-called confession is that Sibiya speaks about Makimbi and Marco Butelis. They are not on the doc. They are not on the charge sheet. Weirdly, ne? Yes. Thirdly, cell phone communication evidence. The prosecution has repeatedly argued that cell phone records show communication among the 5 accused, contact between some accused and people allegedly connected to the case, communication patterns before and after the murder. State witnesses testify that cell phone analysis linked the accused to each other despite their denials that they knew one another. That is according to what the state relies on. Number 4, alleged links between Kelly Khumalo and some accused. The state has argued that cell phone records show communication between numbers linked to some accused and Kelly Khumalo before the murder. This forms part of the prosecution's contract killing theory. The weird thing about this, when Vodacom came, Pinky told us, Pinky Vittellingham said, I don't see any phone calls between Kelly Khumalo and accused number 5 anyway. Also, no phone calls between accused number 3 and Kelly Khumalo. Anyway, weirdly, the police did their own manufacturing and said there was communication. And when they were asked about what type of call, at some point it was a straight call. At some point it was an internet call. At some point the internet call was called to be WhatsApp call. When they were told WhatsApp calls were not active for 2014, they changed and said it was a PPM. And then when the phone was not a BlackBerry, it was another story. Guys. Okay, number 5, ballistic evidence. The state's ballistic experts testify that the bullet recovered from the crime scene was fired from the firearm later found in the possession of Mthobisi Mncube. The firearm was allegedly linked to other criminal cases as well. This remains one of the prosecution's key forensic pillars. Now, while it is their pillars, forensic pillars, weirdly, the so-called firearm that they say is linked to Senzo Meyiwa, that was tested in 2020 by ballistic expert Mangena, is the same firearm that was tested in 2015 against the same crime of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa, and it came out negative. Jiggy now, this one, who's this? Mangena comes and says, no, it actually matches. And Sana, when Mube's team decides, let's get our own expert, the expert says, no, it doesn't. It never did. In 2015, it doesn't even now. There is IBIS report for 2015 that says it's not part of the crime. There is now this report from the expert, the independent expert Nayo. He says, no, it's not. I don't know how are they going to get out of that, but they are forcing it down our throats. Number 6, eyewitness identification. The state relies on testimony from witnesses who were inside the house on the night of the murder. According to the prosecution, 2 intruders entered the house, Some witnesses identified Ntanzi as one of the intruders. The reliability of these identifications has been heavily challenged by the defense. The reason for that, first of all, the descriptions now, they don't make sense. Number one, when it comes to Ntanzi. Number two, they don't make sense when it comes to accused number 3 also, because they are claiming those are the 2 accused that went inside. Also, what was written go 2014 October, November 2014 does not match the people that are inside the dock. It doesn't. I'm telling you. It doesn't. Now, number 7, hostile and association evidence. The state-led evidence intended to place the accused together before the murder and to demonstrate that they knew each other despite claiming otherwise. This includes testimony relating to the Basotho hostel and associations amongst the accused. Now, one witness, which was Constable Zungu, whose evidence and testimony has been rubbished by so many people that he is a liar, he lied under oath, is the only and he has no one who's corroborating him. Nobody corroborated his evidence. He claimed that he saw them. And when you look back, the people are like, no, the people that are supposed to be the ones that he was with, Gwabini, Makosonke does not even know accused number 3. They don't even know accused number 3 and 4. Some of them, they don't know accused number 3, 4, and 5. Some of them don't know accused number 3 and number 5. Do you understand what is happening there? Okay. Also, number 8, cell phone downloads from accused while in custody. The prosecution introduced evidence allegedly recovered from phones linked to Ntanzi, and Mthobisi Ncube, including contact lists, call records, deleted messages, photographs. Even Abakabakati, the state argues these extractions strengthen the links between the accused. But Ntanzi was there, quick witness box, show me where did I speak to any of these accused telephonically, except for number 1. Jololo ayiko. Ayiko kesana. Number 8, firearm photographs and digital material. State witnesses testify that cell phone extractions revealed images of firearms, articles relating to the Senzo Meyiwa case, other digital content allegedly connecting the accused to the investigation. Dololo kesana into a clear and straightforward. Dololo into a clear and straightforward. Now, why is the defense saying this is not a prima facie case? Let's look at that. The defense position throughout the trial has been that the confessions were allegedly obtained through torture and coercion. Cell phone evidence is unreliable, improperly handled, or contaminated. Chain of custody problems exist regarding phones and digital evidence. Witness identifications are inconsistent and unreliable and were made on the dock. Ballistic evidence is disputed by defense experts. There is no DNA, fingerprint, blood, or direct forensic evidence placing the accused inside the Khumalo house on the night of the murder. The investigation was allegedly manipulated by members of the National Cold Case Unit. Now, in summary, the state's prima facie case is built primarily on confessions, cell phone records, ballistics, eyewitnesses, identifications, and alleged communication links between the accused and other persons of interest. The defense, on the other hand, argues that each of those pillars is either unreliable, fabricated, improperly obtained, or contradicted by other evidence presented during the trial. So what are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk with comment section. Please, if I forgot anything else, list yours. What else are they forcing us to accept, whereas it does not make sense when it comes to the evidence? I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.